In the top right-hand side of Altitude, big map. You gotta imagine there's gotta be some mech here. It is gonna be Reynor. And he's likely gonna be playing against the mech of GuMiho. Starts off in the bottom. To get this underway. GuMiho is so blurry right now. He's so intensely focused, he just blurs the screen. It's definitely something. Patch gas pool. There's a double gas from GuMiho following up a CC first, so he's gonna say, "Hey, big map, right? Let's put the big map into play." You get this into it. Sorry, guys. Just had a Ellie delivering me a toy donut to see if I was interested. And, well, how can you deny Toy Donut from a dog? If she wants to play Toy Donut, who am I to deny her that, you know? Alright, guys, it is going to be the first factory coming up right now, so you start to get an idea of how this is going. Which is very fun. Obviously, we're waiting to see whether this is going to be mech or not. It's going to be one of the big questions. You can see Reynor's already respecting the fact that this is, you know, GuMiho. He's going to go Overlord speed. He knows GuMiho can do some interesting, kind of wild things sometimes. And so he's going to start playing around that. He's going to come in here with the Overlord speed to be able to scout. He wants to know what's going on. Reynor just saying, hey, I don't want to get caught off guard, right? You know, let's just make sure I know what's up, know what I'm playing against. And I like that from Reynor. You know, it's the sensible way to play this match, I think. You know that in general, mechanically, you're probably a lot stronger than GuMiho. So what is your weakness? Well, GuMiho, I always love this quote from GuMiho. He said it when he won the GSL. He said, look, you know, I'm not as fast or as strong as other players in certain ways. So I have to play to my own strengths, and I have to play to my own strategies that suit me and they work for me. And Reynor, knowing that, says, well, if I can just scout what you're up to, I can make good decisions and really just give me a very good chance of always being in a good place against you. Because again, mechanically speaking, Reynor has got to be a little bit stronger than GuMiho. That's not a disrespect to GuMiho, that's not a slight. It's just two players, one that's very well known for their mechanics and their ability to play quickly and all over the map and everything. And then one who is, again, just known as a bit of a slower, more strategical player. As we come along, there's going to be seeing Reaper and a few Hellions make their way up to the top here. Little grenade goes down. Queen going to get bop-a-lopped. Nothing too exciting though. Banshee, Cloak, Stim, all of this on the way up. This is just going to be having our... Well, Barracks going to lift off of the tech lab there, and that's going to give us a pretty good indicator that this is not going to be bio. And this is, in fact, going to be something a little bit different, and obviously trying to be a bit cheeky with the, you know, with what his opponent's scout versus what he shows. Just trying to get away with that a little bit here, as we do have a couple of mules dropping down, factory still coming through as well. A lot of building up right now here in this game number 1, as we go straight into the mech. 4 gases at a time, by the way. As Reynor would love to get another scout and try and confirm that it's mech. He knows that his opponent is a tricky player. He really does not want to be caught off guard. Right now he's heading into Lingbane Lair. It would actually be good for him to be able to get that next scout kind of wrapped up, I feel like. Here comes Viking. The Overlord starts to take some shots moving in. Gets the scout. That's exactly what you're looking for. The scout is super important. That is a big, big plus. We're going to be seeing Hyperflight Rotors coming in, so we're all going to see those speedy Banshees. Well, in that case, a Spire might actually be kind of nice, right? To help deal with the Banshees a little bit. It could actually still be kind of cool, so... There's a, possibility is... No! The lag! It's okay, guys. We recovered. Survived. We've, had a couple bits of lag and latency issues here and there throughout the World Team League season, but they're generally pretty good at fixing it. Feels like the FPS is a little low right now, though, right? It's not just me. You guys see this too? Well, I guess so, because I see it on the clean feed. Aww. We'll give it a moment. I think it's just fixed up, actually, so I think it's just... I think it was just a small thing. Oh, but... Wardy, why do you say such things? Why do you pretend that things are going good? Actually, the Twitch stream looks a bit better right now. Let me just grab you guys over to Twitch. And we can just work with this, at least for the moment, and hopefully, obviously, just gets better over time still. Fingers crossed. Well, Banshees, Hellions moving around. Looks like they still have a couple of frame rate issues, guys, but that might just get fixed once they have a bit more of a chance to do something about everything that's just been going on here. Yeah, a couple of Banshees obviously moving around. They're going to be a major part of this game and trying to just deal damage and keep Reynor slowed down as best as possible. So that's one thing we definitely keep our eyes out for. At the moment, just going to be seeing our Cyclones coming around, and these Mutalisks want to try and dive into some of these mineral lines. Let's see what they can do. Just going to be seeing our Hellbats already on top of this base, and Reynor in a bit of trouble. Obviously, we missed kind of, what, like about a minute and a half of this game, so feels like Reynor built Mutas, didn't really do much with them, and now is in some trouble to this army. The Cyclone's doing a lot. Cyclone's much better against Mutalisks than they used to be, and that's a big reason why these Cyclones can probably scare Reynor off a lot more than what he might have been thinking. Reynor's still actually building more and more Mutalisks, by the way, so he's going to double down on the Mutas right here. Cyclones locking on again. You can just see how well these Cyclones do against these Queens. Reynor, I think, is just in a little bit too much trouble right now. And it's just going to be seeing our country not going to be able to get back online here, and this is going to be Reynor definitely playing from behind at the very least. So, yeah, Reynor has to play from behind. That's not going to be a ton of fun. See if he can maybe wiggle his way back into this somehow, but yeah, it just is not pretty right now. It is not a great situation for him. We'll see if he can bounce back as Cyclone's getting good lock-ons again. Oh my goodness, Mutalisk destruction. Reynor gives a little bit of a painful smile. And hey, GuMiho gonna bring Psystorm right back in this series. They needed to at least get a map of Reynor, and they are gonna get it here. The big question will be, can they get a second? Because if they get a second and knock Reynor down 2-0, this series gets evened up completely. And then we have a whole new conversation to be having as we get through into more action. Well, like I said, this one definitely seems as though it's just gonna be Dunzo'd, Delio'd, and all of the things, as our Banshees will continue to work through the hatchery. And Sporkle, that was there, going to go down. Reynor is really just, I mean, he picks up a few units here, which is nice, but man, the Cyclones for days as they just lock on. They're doing good. You can see the Mutas are never really fully healthy or anything, so that's not exactly brilliant. And yeah, it just constantly feels as though GuMiho is going to have a little bit too much. Just come in. A couple of these Hellbats will go down as well. I'm just going to be seeing GuMiho 168 to Reynor's 130 supply. And again, just, I mean, big map for GuMiho to maybe bring more units across on to kind of finish things out. But again, he will eventually get there. Reynor can't possibly build enough and keep up enough in this game right now. I do wonder what the logic was for Reynor. Like, I kind of didn't mind the idea of the Spire. I mean, I feel like we missed an important minute or so when we lagged out, unfortunately. An important minute or so that would have told us a lot about maybe how this game was looking, what we were expecting. Which is a little sad because Obviously, I feel like he consciously decided to go Mutas after scouting mech. Mutas can be good at dealing with the Banshees and stuff, but I think he was just caught off guard by an attack, and I just wonder if there was something we missed happening that allowed him to be as caught off guard as he was, or just, you know, not quite as prepared. Because it feels weird to have gone Overlord speed, scout, consciously go Mutas, and then to just kind of roll over and die. So I do feel like we've missed probably a pretty important part of whatever the hell was happening in this game, so fortunate in that regard, but such is life as Mutas continue to come in. Banshee going to get cleaned up by these couple of queens as well, so they will just grab that. Yeah, I mean, not really a lot else to say, guys. This game is being rounded on out. Banshee's going to come through again. The speedy boys making their way across, getting a couple of drone kills straight away. Want to come back across, and they're going to go after these Banshees now, so away they go. A couple of Banshees already going down. Reynor will do everything in his power to kind of stay in this game. Right now, that is just massing Mutas. Your hope is that GuMiho maybe messes up one time on the defense of these Mutas, and then the Mutas become a little bit too overwhelming. There's a few too many of them, for example. I think that's generally the kind of the goal right now. Unless the Mutas would love to try and catch that Banshee. 14 drones obviously dying doesn't exactly help Reynor's case of being able to come back in this game, but again, respect that he's got to try what he can. He's definitely trying whatever he can. Mutas continue to the bottom left-hand side. Just come through. Hellbat's getting knocked down. Just gonna get cleaned up here pretty much, and yeah, I mean that's nice from the Mutas, right? But again, you just got to be able to keep doing this and eventually take the bigger fight. The army's coming from GuMiho, so unless there's somehow not a way to deal with these Mutalisks, Reynor should be about to roll over and die. Hellbat Cyclones get rid of this base. Reynor's not even going to dare to dive on top of it just yet, so he definitely appreciates that he is likely not in the greatest of spots right here. Drones going down, the Muta's still being chased around. Cyclones and Hellbats continue through, and they will continue to look to see what they can do. Cyclones once again just going to get a lock on, and this is where the Mutas continue to die. This is the painful part. This is where Cyclones became very good against Mutas with the patch. So suddenly Cyclones can actually trade against Mutas, which again is definitely a newer concept. This is not something that was true in the past. GuMiho gets the first map off of Reynor. That's a massive win for Psystorm. What's going to be even more important is whether they can even consider it here. There you go. Map number 2 of Reynor versus GuMiho. In the top right side, looking to take a map so his team at least prevails with a 1-0 match lead right now. It is Reynor. On the other side, we're now going to have the Red Terran from Psystorm. This is GuMiho. Alright. So, game number 2. Get this up, running. Set to rumble. Reynor is going to go pool first even here straight away, which is interesting. I wonder if he's just afraid of the potential proxy racks. I don't think there's any shame in that because, again, Reynor probably feels like for the majority of the time, if he can just get into like a pretty normal macro-ish game, he probably feels like he should be the favorite. And I don't disagree with that even with what we just saw. Like I said, I really feel like we missed a key minute or so in that game with the stream lagging out and stuff, but I still feel like Reynor's got to be confident going into like a macro game. So if you can just guarantee getting there, even if that just is pool first and just kind of coming in with these lings and making sure you're not being proxy racks or anything, I think those are all potentially important points.
指挥中心升级完毕。
CC going down, single Marine begins to move forward as we have the Overlord here is actually going to get caught by the fact that this is Marine first, but the Marine's going to get caught itself. Yep, because obviously this is a group of Lings, so now this Marine's in a bit of a weird spot, and this becomes just a weird little back and forth in general between these two. Yeah, it became a weird little moment, right? I mean, the Lings obviously get to fight the Marines. They get to trade out with that. This was an interesting couple of seconds, but nothing too crazy as we obviously now get ourselves into the Roach Row. And so no Reaper means you can't confirm as GuMiho what exactly is going on here. So if you can't confirm what's going on, that's generally not a good thing. Yeah, not being able to know what's going on generally should be kind of bad for you. So in theory, this is pretty bad because he doesn't know whether it's roaches or not. So unless he wants to blindly prepare for it, then that's the question. Do you really want to potentially blindly prepare for this? I don't think so. We're just coming through, pushing back a Hellion. Obviously, the Hellion getting the first scout of this now. Siege tank will start up. There's a Liberator that can help to buy some time. Reynor behind this will begin to drone up. Will begin to ready himself. It's going to be seen a good group of Marines as well. Obviously, without having ever built Hellions, you've not built any units, or many. There was a Hellion, right? You've not built a lot of Hellions, you've not built a lot of units that are necessarily bad against Roaches either, so let's see what we do here as the first tank comes out. A lot of Marines. Reynor immediately starts to back it up. There's a Liberator that picks away at the Overlord here. Just going to go working through that as well. Yeah, Reynor not able to do enough immediately, but he's still going to poke around. He's got a couple of Ravages that can buy. He cancels a building deeper or so. Nothing really too major. See, it's been a pretty good defense, we have to admit, from GuMiho. He was really just set up well to deal with the potential Roaches, so yeah, absolutely no issue at all for him. And now Reynor is going to try and figure out a way to kind of get back into a better position for himself, because this has definitely not been going the way that he wants it to go. A couple of tanks are going to come across the map to drop. Okay, GuMiho, what the heck? The tank harass is coming, guys. Are you ready? I don't think Reynor will be, because it's obviously kind of wild. Well, there's going to be seen a couple of tanks dropping off, coming back in. Gotta be careful not to lose the medevac, obviously, because two tanks are kind of valuable in this early game. It is going to be stim, by the way, so we are going to play bio here on Ancient Cistern. I do wonder how well that can go for you as GuMiho. Like I say, I mean, to me, it feels like you probably still want to try and hit something aggressive. Anything you can do to kind of force Reynor just into a less comfortable game or something like a 2-base all-in. That's why I feel like I'd like this for GuMiho. I feel like that's obviously not a guarantee of what we're going to get into or anything, so some questions to be asked. Tanks, Marines moving forward. Roach Ravage is trying to meet this. Obviously, Reynor is still on these kind of Roaches as his initial part of the defense, so that's kind of a little factor we've got to consider too. And we've seen our CC moving out to the next base along. GuMiho never getting too aggressive across the map, not committing over to the other side or anything. Just kind of moving around to keep Reynor kind of guessing, I suppose, more than anything else throughout this. So, kind of what we've just been seeing. Medevac, a few Marines just going to come out the front as well. Just going to make their way over and have ourselves a few moments of seeing GuMiho pushing and seeing whether Reynor is going to be prepared for this. He's getting his upgrades, but they're not really there yet. He's again just building a lot of roaches. Needs to be very careful, because the moment you lose control with roaches in this sort of situation is the moment you just lose full control of the game. So roaches are meant to always be overwhelming. If they ever take a fight that means they're not overwhelming, GuMiho is likely going to be able to do very well. But GuMiho attacking into roaches is almost going to be questionable as well. And you can already see that didn't exactly turn out super brilliantly straight away. As the medevacs move back through the center, just going to see the roaches and ravagers moving forward here. Trying to see what they can get up to. Going to rush on in. A couple of siege tanks immediately going to be in some trouble. And obviously Reynor just bringing this across the map. I mean, he does okay here, clearing out the tanks, not getting overcommitted. I think is an important combination of things. And he's just going to be running now. How many ravagers go down on this chase? That is actually going to be kind of concerning if you lose a little bit too much here. Yeah, definitely reason for a little bit of concern there. Just gotta be careful, man. You just don't want these situations to get away from you too much. You gotta be kind of, like I say, super careful in some of these scenarios. Keep things under control and just as manageable as possible, I suppose. And we see now Roach Ravage still trying to push back. GuMiho trying to come across the map, trying to be active, trying to get up and in the face of his opponent a little bit, but not really succeeding in a major way, I would say. Not really being all that impressive just yet in terms of GuMiho trying to be aggressive every time he's attacked. He's just kind of ran into roaches and had to stop. Now he's kind of down to some higher numbers now. He's getting a fourth base behind this too, as these few roaches will not be enough against these Marines, so that's going to be outnumbered. And Reynor, but as the rest of his army, it is moving down. He's not quite on bailing speed or anything just yet, and without bailing speed, that might be, a problem for Reynor if he's not quite able to deal with this. So that could definitely be a slight issue. Tank fires. Marines are going to spread out. I see these two Liberators around the top are going to come through to siege up as well, so siege up they will. Forces a couple of drones away pretty much immediately into the main base with this Liberator. Also, spores putting some good damage onto, and that Liberator will be turned away. So this gets pushed back without too much issue. It's going to be seeing the Queens pushing the Marines away too, so just again a little bit of a pushback there. Fire Force coming across the right-hand side. Spore Crawlers will take down a Liberator. Reynor at least has had a chance to get some of his extra upgrades up. He's about to have +2 carapace and +1 melee. He's on his way to Vipers and Adrenal. Again, everything just tech-wise seems a little slow for Reynor, slower than he'd like it to be. He does control all of the map, so he can potentially give up this position too if he feels like he wants to or needs to. Bane's chasing off a creep. These Marines are going to have to find a split at some point, surely, as they go behind the mineral line. There's not really anywhere for them to go. They have a little bit of space that they utilize. Reynor so far taking a good enough fight here. A few final bars take down a tank, and he's got his first Ultra on the way out. There's a couple of Marauders mixed in here. GuMiho going to press forward, try and catch Reynor before reinforcements are truly ready to take full advantage. The drone's pulling away. Our Lings come back through. Marauder's going to get shoved away from there as well. These few Queens continue onto the Marauder and just trying to clean this up. As we are going to be seeing Reynor. Again, he's got other bases. He doesn't necessarily need to hold that right side position. It's not the base loss I think we're worried about. It's just being able to rebuild and get going again as GuMiho readies himself to go back into this position. As the siege tank line What we're worried about now is obviously the extra tech that Reynor's finding. He's onto Vipers. He's onto Ultras. These are things which GuMiho is going to have a much tougher time against that he wasn't dealing with previously. Especially the Vipers. Blinding Clouds on the tanks can really nullify a lot of what you want to do here. You already see some units catching reinforcements. A tank in the front, not siege. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of tanks in the back that are siege, but we're going to, like I say, Blinding Cloud a couple of these, take them out of the equation. This is actually a much slower fight than I thought it was going to be. Here comes some units from the other side. Now with nothing to protect the other siege tanks, the units can get on top of a bunch of those very quickly, so we lose even more of those numbers straight away. This is definitely becoming a bit more of a problem as time passes by. Just going to be seeing our Bioforce will sit here. These few links still trying to run on forward. Well, drone's going down. GuMiho does have enough to break into the natural, despite all these fights that I feel like have been pretty decent for Reynor. GuMiho still finds ways to kind of keep on pushing through. Reynor tries to clean this up, hits a fungal growth onto the center of some units at the end. Good blinding cloud as well to help him through, and that should give him at least a little bit of an edge here, right? At least a little bit of an opportunity. It's going to be seeing the bio still pressing forward, and Ultra's still trying to chase this down. Reynor really not having an easy time of this, guys. This has turned into much more of a challenge than I feel like I was ever expecting it to be. I feel like Reynor probably wasn't expecting it to be quite this tough either, for the most part. In the end, he does finally force GuMiho to lift up, though. The numbers have finally shifted, and we finally have a bit of a better scenario here for our Zerg. So Reynor finally stabilizes, but boy, was it way more of an effort than I think anyone was ever really expecting. It's kind of crazy how much of a fight that got brought to him here. GuMiho really showing up. And it's not over yet. GuMiho's going to start rebuilding, Reynor stabilizing. The big thing GuMiho did during all of this was he got set up onto multiple extra bases. So he got into way better position base-wise than he was beforehand. And that's going to obviously help him out big time as we have the medivacs loading up, but the Lings will spot that drop moving out, so spotted straight away, decide it's not worth trying to make something happen because of that. There's Liberator on the other side, that's not really doing anything too exciting, right? Just mostly getting chased away. There's actually a fight on the left side. I was going to say, can we get a look at that? Our observer does take us over that just to see that Reynor probably isn't super comfortable pushing in. GuMiho's army really isn't that tacked up still. When you look at this, it's still very, it's still very much so a case of it's just bio, right? And he's getting some goats now, so it is improving. I wouldn't say it was immediately, super crazy good or anything along those lines. That's definitely kind of a question mark here. Can he actually kind of do well later into this game? Reynor already had a lot of his tech, including investing into some infestors here as well. Also something that I think is going to turn out to be pretty neat for him. So we're seeing GuMiho with the big offensive through the center. Now he's actually pushing on the creep here, which is something you're going to have to be careful of, obviously, because if you're not careful of that, you could run into a whole chunk of trouble. So definitely something to be careful of, like I say. He is finding the choke point, though, so then Reynor has to decide if he wants to go through the choke point or not. Just in general, a lot of questions to be asked as our feelings trying to wrap around with these Marauders. So far, GuMiho not making any further progress, but it really doesn't feel like we're far from seeing some further progress being made. And I mean, any fight right now could really go this way or that. So let's see as Reynor does run forward. He runs off creep. There's a drop into one of Reynor's bases. I believe that's... I don't even know. It's on his natural expansion it is. So there's a drop into Reynor's natural. That's obviously going to be pretty sizable here and pretty important. Let's actually continue to work its way through bases you can see on the picture-in-picture. So I think is... absolutely a little factor as well. Nice to be able to get rid of the natural base there. So that's going to keep Reynor in a little bit of a tough position also. Remember that GuMiho leads by 1 against Reynor, so Kaiser have already lost a life. This is Sidestone trying to get a 2-0 back on the board after Reynor 2-0'd Max Packs. This would really even things out. He catches the Ghost before they get their snipes off. That's obviously incredible. If you're a Reynor fan right now, that's probably a little bit of a saving moment compared to what that perhaps could have been otherwise. Snipe Star still coming down though, so yeah, I mean, obviously we go from maybe potentially losing an Ultra to kind of pushing some Ghosts back, but those Ghosts still get saved. They can still snipe again. Reynor just doesn't have a comfortable bank or anything in this game. 34,000 to 20k resources lost. His trades have just not been anywhere close to what they need to be to typically be okay in these kind of scenarios, right? And that's obviously going to be the big part of the issue. It's just going to be so much worse for you in that regard than it ever should have really been. And that's the problem with having fallen behind throughout this game as well in general. Just it's going to be tough to kind of keep up and kind of deal with that. So we're seeing the Lingbane Ultra continue to run on through. Actually going to see Reynor believing he has a chance to kind of break this position. There's a couple of the Ultras on the low ground. They're great initially against those tanks. In fact, there's a couple more tanks. There was one in the corner. I didn't see it first. GuMiho gets pushed back pretty far. Can these Ghosts get some extra snipes though? Because this is how obviously the numbers will rotate into GuMiho's favor on the tail end as he gets some units to chase with. Obviously, everything can start looking very different. Let's see how Ling is still running on in, getting another big catch. Sizable. A lot of units going down. Some of these Marauders being picked away at. The Lings have the Ghosts surrounded, but the Ghosts can obviously just lift up into the Medivacs the moment they feel like they're losing this battle. So this is not a case of... This is not really a scary situation. This is, in theory, just very manageable. That's something that GuMiho was in control of throughout. That's the suggestion, at least, by him standing there and fighting. Ling's Ultra is still coming through. I mean, at some point, Reynor's not got to be careful. His supply is hurting, and again, Reynor just doesn't have the money like GuMiho has. GuMiho's floating cash. He's probably going to be maxed with the money that's already in his bank. They don't have anything to do there, so that Ultra goes down, and we're basically fighting with Lings. Reynor shakes his head. He's recognizing that GuMiho has done enough in these battles. These trades have just been too good, and Reynor's economy has just taken a few too many hits for it to really look the other way. And that means that here we are. We're going to have ourselves a big upset. GuMiho with a 2-0. There's going to be a massive reset in the series after Reynor got it done against Max Packs. The series is going to be pretty much level. GuMiho out to play. And that means that someone has to come out. It's going to be ZvT. Either Oliveira or Spirit to take on GuMiho. We'll see.